this is the time, this is the place, and this is FC3 Monkey Business, your one-stop shop for everything geeky. And since everything is geeky, if you love it enough, you never know what you're going to get. This is your host, I am C. And guess what? This week we're going to be talking about... Hit it. The Avengers.
Assemble.
You finally hear it this time. All right, first of all, before I go any further, you got to know when you're listening to this particular podcast, spoilers. So many spoilers. Okay? In a 3-hour movie, you have to understand that we all loved it. We all saw it. Have we all seen it?
Yes.
We've all seen it. Anne, you've seen it? Sherry's seen it twice. I haven't seen it twice yet, but I'm going to be seeing it twice soon. Avengers Endgame has hit the end of the first chapter of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. 22 movies culminating in a 3-hour spectacle. How are you, Becca?
We're doing.
You're doing okay over there? All right, I'm going to come to you in a moment because I have to keep reminding myself that you're in the booth today. Because I don't want to. I'm like,
she's over there, man.
She's over there, man. All right, so I am your host. I am Chris. In the studio with me, as always, the Billy.
Hi, Chris.
Hello, Billy, and his secret identity, Captain Falcon.
Yes. Who?
You like that one?
No, sure.
Yeah, there we go.
Absolutely.
And Chartreuse Widow, Tanya Wettress is in the house.
Wettress?
I said Wettress.
No, you didn't.
You said Wettress.
Well, it's better than calling you monkey shit.
Okay, don't go there again. Don't break Lana again.
I can't break Lana again.
Oh, boy.
We just put her back together. Come on. I'm out of super
Too
glue.
late.
You broke her again.
Yeah,
I'm out of
Too
super
late.
glue.
And the Azure Witch, Anne, is in the house.
Hello.
Hello. I'm trying to think of on the fly. I'm trying to think of all these great names right now. The Autumn Soldier.
Yeah,
Tony
sure.
Bacchetta is in the house today.
Yeah.
The Autumn Soldier.
What? Autumn.
Let's see. So we've got Captain Falcon, the Chartreuse Witch. No,
Widow.
the Chartreuse Widow, Azure Witch, Autumn
Autumn Soldier.
Okay, and Sushi.
I'm sorry, what?
Instead of Shuri.
Sushi?
Sushi.
Okay, I'm dead
Is anybody
fish.
writing this down? Because there's no way in hell I'm
dead
remembering it.
fish. Yeah.
But in a variety of wonderful colors and textures.
Yeah. Raw fish. That's me.
Some of it's cooked. Or is that sashimi?
It's tempura.
No, Mom,
Sure.
you're a California roll. You're all vegetables.
Oh, I don't even know where I'm going to go with Andy here.
Wasabi peas.
The bulk. The incredible bulk.
Those before and
Don't go
after.
too far
Shots
back.
of the
Oh,
60-pound weight loss didn't help at all.
Oh,
did it?
see, no.
And this is what happens when Chris goes off script.
Hello. See,
Captain Becca.
Captain, no, let's...
No,
Captain
I've actually
Becca,
already had a name given to me.
She's
Because I joined a frat and I'm in the comic book line, so now they know me as Teenage Negasonic. Nah, I messed that up. It's Negasonic Teenage Warhead.
Negasonic Teenage Warhead.
That's who I am now.
All right, so you're the Warhead. Okay.
But that's not an Avenger.
And our
It's
host,
okay.
No,
Dr.
but-
Stranger.
She's I'm as strange as they come, so yes,
you were a
that
stranger
works.
when I met you, and you've been getting stranger
Ever since.
Do you
But
have one for Monk?
Warhead is definitely, she's MCU at least, so that, or she's Marvel, so it doesn't matter. So for Monk. Oh, for Monk. Let's see. What would be a good one for Monk? There's a great scene towards the end of Endgame where you see all of, like, the current female Marvel heroes.
Monkery.
Monkery. No, that's
Like
kind of silly.
Valkyrie?
No.
That's kind of silly.
Captain Monkey?
Captain, no, we already got a couple of captains in the house. She-Monk.
Okay.
There we go.
I'll work with that.
She-Monk. There we go. We got She-Monk, who's not made her MCU debut yet, but I expect that'll be happening in phase, 6. All right, so now that we've got that out of the way, what did we think of this movie, generally?
It's awesome.
Russo's brothers outdid themselves.
Okay.
Enjoyed every minute of it.
We loved it. We're good with it. Anne's thinking about a response. And I don't think Anne was as on board as we are.
No, I'm not.
Okay. Which is good.
As somebody who's read all of the comics, because there's 3 different series of comics that lead up to this. It was a little weird.
Weird in terms of how they executed it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I mean, when it comes to special effects and graphics and even their plot line, it was great. but it was not what I was expecting, being that I've read so many of the comics.
Okay. So the diehard fans, and those are a lot of the people I was seeing online after I saw the movie and I was actually safe to go out onto the social media. The diehard fans, especially like artist Graham Nolan, who's the character, the guy who created Bane in the Batman series. He was very critical of the movie. Yes. And so I'm wondering if that is there being too deep into one medium does not allow you to appreciate fully the other?
I appreciate the MCU universe as it comes in the movies.
Right.
But as so much of Infinity War followed with more along the line of the comic books,
okay,
I was hoping they would continue it in Endgame.
So you were hoping for like Adam Warlock and things like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
When they basically solved it by not introducing anything really new. So, and I feel, you know what? I don't think we really gave Captain Marvel a good once-over. I wasn't going to give Captain Marvel a 10. I think I was going to go 7.5, maybe an 8.
Captain Marvel was really good.
8.
It was a good movie.
But the backstory does not follow along.
It doesn't follow along. And I think now that I see Endgame, I feel like, oh crap, we want to put together Endgame and use only the things that we've done so far, but we need our ringer, and we haven't developed one. So let's quick whip Captain Marvel together and throw that out there. And they did a good job of it. I don't want to slam the movie, but I think Endgame being the condition it was in helped me understand Captain Marvel and its placement and its feel.
Yes.
Right? So it was like, oh, okay, we need that ringer. Damn. All right, let's do this. Here's our solution, and this will be great. And they did a good job with it.
They did. They brought Captain Marvel in a good place and a good time in that, and I see where they brought the whole MC universe in with that.
Mm-hmm.
But they could have done a better story with Black Panther and Captain Marvel together in the end.
I think that they definitely... I think it might have been... I like Captain Marvel, don't get me wrong, but I think it might have been a better idea to bring in Adam Warlock as opposed to Captain Marvel, because they did hint about it at the end of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
Yeah, but they really... See, here's the thing. They didn't follow through on that, and so to bring Adam into the Endgame...
Well, no, instead of Captain Marvel, do an Adam Warlock movie.
All right.
And swap the two characters.
But I think I understand why they're trying to do that right now, because they have the Galaxy of the Guardians. Here, I'm doing great.
You're doing that directory style, aren't you?
Man, yeah, directory style. Thank you. You have the Guardians storylines kind of hovering over the MCU at the moment, and then you had the mainline MCU going on. So I just think Adam Warlock would have been more ham-fisted to bring it in properly than Captain Marvel. So I think they did fine with that. And the long and short of it, the best review I've seen of it so far, it was an hour-long review. Kevin Smith.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Kevin sat there and did a rundown. He was telling the story, and he was talking about, what he liked, what he didn't like. He was basically telling the story of this 3-hour movie. He did it in an hour. But it was great to hear it from his perspective, because the one thing we love about Kevin Smith, we all love Kevin Smith because he's a fan. Mm-hmm. He's not just a great storyteller. He's not just a great cinematographer and director of these funny-ass movies. He's a fan. Mm-hmm. Just like us. So he's talking about all this great stuff about the movie, and he made the point where he was praising the Russo brothers because of this basically being the ultimate fan piece.
Fan service.
Fan service. Fan service is the term he was using. So he's saying the Russo brothers are like, okay, instead of introducing a whole lot of new stuff, let's thank everybody who came on this 11-year-long ride with us. And we're going to do all of this great stuff. I think that's really one of the main reasons why they brought the time travel aspect into it, so they go back and touch on all of the greatest hits all the way through the Marvel Cinematic Universe. 22 freaking movies. 22 movies in 11 years. That is insane. I don't think anything has ever done anything close to that, ever.
Took a small city.
I think Marvel did a really great job of bringing in Captain Marvel into a time when we needed the girl power aspect of it, because she's created a whole new generation of now comic book loving people.
Right.
And now to tie it in with Endgame is it's a moneymaker. That's really what it is. I mean, it went from how much money can we make without having to create new characters and new people to play to pay.
Well, here's Here's the stats. Sherry compiled them for me. Fastest to 500 million took them 3 days. Fastest to 1 billion, they did it in 5. Fastest to 1.5 billion dollars, they did it in 8 days. And then fastest to 2 billion, they did 11 days to $2 billion. Highest opening weekend gross, 1.23 billion. United States and Canada, fastest to 50, fastest to 100. All the way down. It's in 11 days. This movie has made more money than just about any other blockbuster out there. It sank the Titanic. For God's
James
sake.
Cameron
And needed to
actually
do
said
that.
himself.
Yeah.
And it did it with humor, pathos, storytelling.
God.
It didn't sacrifice the things that made all the other movies so great.
Right.
It didn't all of a sudden completely change tones to completely serious.
No.
It still made you laugh. It still made you cry. It made you think. It made you excited. Mm-hmm. It was everything that all those movies were up to this point.
And then some.
Uh-huh.
And nobody hid in a bathtub. Or, pardon me, a freezer.
Yeah, nobody had to hide in a freezer. Go ahead, Sherry.
There were things that I so loved about this film, and there were things that really bothered me about this film.
What really bothered you about this film?
Okay, I want to preface the whole scene in Vormir
Okay.
with Clint and
Natasha.
Natasha. Loved it. Thought that was the only way. No other two people could have gone. That's exactly how it should have gone. It's exactly how it should have been. They should have, them fighting over who got the chance to sacrifice themselves for the other. These two people who have been established as best friends through this whole franchise. That was perfect. And her winning, so he could go back to his family, was perfect because they were her family too, and she didn't want them to be without him. That was perfect.
What would you say to the because I heard this commentary on another discussion thread. What would you say to the person who's going to say, well, that just it's a terrible thing. There was the worst scene in the movie because what they're saying is that you have to have a family to be valid.
Nope. That is exactly right.
This person made it basically
her family.
This person busted the hell out of the Russo brothers because, well, okay, fine. Black Widow, she doesn't have a family. She doesn't have anything, so she's worthless, I guess. She doesn't contribute to the whole society value. So since she doesn't have a family, we should kill her off.
No, that's not how I saw it at all. His youngest child is named for her. That's her family too. Yeah. All of these people are her family. She even says that, doesn't she? Even talks about that. She needed to do this, and it was her choice.
Now, the savvy people in the audience, how many chills went down the spine the moment that you heard that those two were going to go to Vormir, and you kind of already knew what was going to come?
I think everybody knew that was going to happen.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing is because... you guys all know Juliana, my daughter's reaction to Infinity War as everybody's disappearing and the loss is occurring.
And then Ant-Man and Wasp.
And then Ant-Man and Wasp. So Jules was already, broken by the MCU, as several people can say. But she sat between me and her brother Ian. All right? So there's Ian and I are on either side of her. And as the opening sequence is starting to play, her pose was she just grabbed on the forearm of the both of us, and that was where she stood. That was basically her entire pose for the entire movie. Watching this movie was grabbing onto her brother's forearm and my forearm, and then I knew where we were in the tenor of it as how hard she was squeezing or if she was letting go. And of course, as soon as she did not put the 2 + 2 together on Vormir, not like I did.
I didn't either initially.
And as soon as they show up on Vormir, and they're addressing the Red Skull, which I thought was the greatest callback ever. That's when all of a sudden you could see the wheels start to turn in her head, and I knew this because there were bruises in my forearm before they even started fighting. She knew one of them was going down. And so it's that whole story leading you into that moment, taking you from the nascent moment of like, oh yeah, Clint and Natasha are going to go to Vormir. Okay, that might be a problem. Oh, and then taking you all the way to I'm having flashbacks to Civil War. Are we still friends? It depends on how hard you hit me. So it's circled around into that. I thought it was just an amazing sequence.
Yeah. So I loved that, and I thought it was perfect, and I thought that it was a validation, not a negation of Black Widow.
And you being the preeminent feminist on the panel, I wanted to make sure to get your impression of that because, like I said, I'd heard that other review, and I was like, oh, that's somebody's just struggling for something to complain about. Now, do we have...
But what I do want to say is, based on that,
Yeah,
the fact that she didn't get her big moment with the group, like the way Tony did,
Right.
bothered me.
Right.
Well, it was just not possible at that point.
That couldn't have been something for both of them. It was just Tony at the end.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to say, I've seen it twice now. The first time I saw it bothered the shit out. I
So
left
the fact that
film,
Natasha was at the end?
No,
No,
the
that they
Natasha,
didn't
that they didn't
remember
do the
her or
memorial.
remember
when
Oh,
they
that
did
she wasn't part of the
Tony's
funeral.
Yeah,
that
when they did the memorial
that
for
was kind of
Tony,
weird for me.
that bothered me. But I have to say, after watching it the second time, I was more comfortable with it because of who Tony was in comparison of to who Natasha was. Tony was big and bombastic, and everybody loved Tony, and everybody knew who Tony was. And Natasha was quiet; she was the spy behind the scenes. So, would she have wanted something like that? That I'm not
Probably
sure of.
not, but it seems that they just forgot about her.
That's what it felt like.
That they didn't do anything to remember her memory and her part
I
of
agree.
this. And they were talking about Tony, and Iron Man and whatsoever. And that
Isn't that an 80s woman? Tony, isn't that?
I mean,
Yes, it was.
every
90s.
time
It
you
was a
say
band.
Tony, I think you're talking to me.
so that was like just my frustration with
Yeah.
it, is that they recognize or whatever Tony at the end, and then the whole thing with Cap and but then they just said I'll miss her, and that's pretty much it. Becca.
Hello.
Becca.
Another slight complaint with that scene, it's the thing that got to me the most, is that it felt like I wanted to enjoy that scene. I really wanted to feel something, but I felt like I never got the chance to really know Hawkeye or Black Widow through the MCU movies.
Okay.
Like, they're always just kind of hanging in the back.
So
and
is
like,
the battle of the B-list characters is what you're saying?
kind of like I wanted to know more about them going into this because
Oh, yeah.
I love their characters.
I think we're finally going to get Budapest when we
Also,
get the Black
There is a Black Widow
Also,
coming.
There's a
movie
Black
coming
Widow
out
movie, and I
2020.
think Budapest is
Can
going
I
to be in
just
it.
say
Go ahead.
how absolutely disappointed I am in the Marvel Cinematic Universe for ignoring the fact that Hawkeye is deaf?
Yes, I'll give you that.
That's
give you
the
that.
one thing that has pissed me off the most.
As a matter of fact, they kind of make reference to it in a recent issue of Deadpool, where he's talking to Hawkeye, and he starts signing to
Yeah.
Hawkeye, and Hawkeye's looking at him like, "You're the first to have done that in ages. What the hell?" I mean, that's-
Yeah,
Didn't he at one point lift up the bottom of
Yes,
his
he
mask
could-
so
lifts up
he
the
could
bottom of
see
his mask
so
and he
could see
signs,
his-
and Hawkeye's like,
and he's
all right.
yeah, they had completely glossed over Hawkeye being deaf.
Yeah.
And and they probably have their reasons. Whatever. It's too late to armchair quarterback that anymore at this point. But that's one of those details that the avid fans are always going to be like, well, that's why I'm not giving the whole series a 10. We'll give it a 9. It was awesome, but you missed a few pieces. So Heimdall still dead. Loki still dead, but
Maybe.
with an asterisk because of the schmoz at the end.
Well, they're giving him his own show.
Yep.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: is
That can
it was
happen
weird how they
anytime.
kind of established that Loki might still be alive. They didn't resurrect him; they just gave him an out. That kind of a thing. It was very strange. So, what do we want to talk about? I mean, there's 3 hours of material to talk about.
Thor.
Thor.
Oh God!
Surfer Bro
my friend
Thor.
Sean, God love Sean. Sean was in there and he goes, "Yes, finally a character I can cosplay." He was so excited.
See,
I thought it was overdone though.
That's another
They went
thing
too
where
far
I'm,
with it.
where
They did
I'm-
go too far.
That's another one where I'm like, ugh. I mean, on the one hand, you got, okay, you don't have to be a perfect god to be worthy. And then in the other, let's make fun of people with PTSD.
I don't think it was really making fun of people with PTSD.
I think it was making fun of fat people, to be honest.
And why was he fat?
Well, it's because he let himself go because he was so just depressed over everything.
PTSD.
Well,
I thought it was
There's
more of a
depression.
commentary on depression.
And trying to deal with grief and not
Yeah.
being.
Yeah.
And
that
he
it
didn't
was-
have. He pushed all of his friends away, and as a result, he fell into a great malaise. And it was his friends who helped him pull out of that. And
because he felt it was like his fault that he didn't kill
Yeah.
him initially.
I will give him this. I do feel that the Surfer Bro Thor went too far, but at the end when he got ready for battle and the lightning came and his armor appeared and everything, they didn't skinny him.
No.
They stuck to their guns and they said, "Okay, no, this is Thor. He's a big fellow right now, so roll with it." They didn't suddenly mysteriously make the fat evaporate when he got into his armor.
So is he going to be in the next Guardians of
He
the
is.
Galaxy
Yes.
movie?
Yes.
And is he
Is that
going
a
to be
confirmed thing though?
back
It
in
is.
shape?
Is it?
It is.
Do we have something in print saying that, or is that just everybody's hope right now?
I think James Gunn commented on it or something.
How much do I love that James Gunn is back
Oh,
with
I
Guardians of the
know.
Galaxy?
My God, that's the way it should be.
And all it took was for them to go, oh, DC wants him?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, then we'll forget everything, all the issues we had.
You know what I wish they'd done in that showdown between Thor and Thanos towards the end, where Thanos is kind of pushing the axe towards Thor's chest, and the whole thing happens with Captain America.
Yeah.
I just wanted Thor to say, "You should have gone for the head." It would have been the perfect come around.
Yeah.
Okay,
thank you.
I want to say I saw it the second time with Monk. When Captain America picks up the hammer, Lana literally sat bolt upright in her chair and went, "Yes!"
That was
waiting for that.
Captain America with the hammer was one of 2 times I cried during that movie.
Well, a lot of people were expecting it, and there are those of us who knew that in the books it had happened, where Cap picked up the hammer. I'm not even going to try to pronounce it, and went to town with it. Yeah, num num. I'm always going with Darcy. Num num. Anyway, so what did you think, Billy? What did you think of that moment when Cap got the hammer?
Oh, it was awesome. I like most people in here, not everyone. I was just thrilled from the second that movie started to the end, and I loved sort of the slow build. A lot of people, oh, it was too slow in the beginning. Well, it was supposed to be too slow in the beginning. It was not a period, a think piece almost.
I think. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. You finish.
So just a commentary. I took it as sort of a 9/11 after effect type of thing, where people were still sort of rebuilding from the therapy class that Steve Rogers was leading.
That was an amazing scene.
Yes, it was.
By the way,
I'm so glad.
And here's some trivia for you: the guy who created the Thanos character was in that group.
He was the one talking.
He was one of the one of the Russo brothers was also talking too, wasn't he? Or there was two.
Oh, that's what I was thinking.
One of the Russo brothers was there, and then the guy who created Thanos were both in that scene.
What threw me for just a second in that scene was the guy that spoke that talked about missing his partner, the gay man. For a quick second, it looked to me like it was Bruce Banner, and I was like, "The Hulk's gay." That's
my first thought it was Paul
in
from the
Hulk
Sprint.
says gay rights.
I thought it was Paul from the Sprint commercials for a moment. What was that, Becca?
This just in, Hulk says gay rights.
Go ahead, Andy.
Just for perspective on a timeline of 5 years later, yesterday I read a headline that said that for the first time since September 10th, 2001, the employment in Lower Manhattan has exceeded what it was September 10th, 2001.
Wow. So life is returning.
Yeah, 18 years later.
Yeah, it only took us 18 years. The Avengers did it in 5.
I think.
Yeah, but they use time travel.
Yeah,
See, there you go.
I'm just saying. I think that's a good way to give you kind of
that thematic feel
test of the theme,
right?
Where they are 5 years later, as opposed to where in real life we've gotten 18 years later.
I have a theory about this movie.
Tell me your theory.
It was made for me.
It was made for you?
Specifically for me.
How do you say that?
Okay, you know
Give
how...
me a pen, too, because I have a thought rolling around in my head. I'm going to lose it pretty soon.
Okay, you know how you are about dystopian stuff?
Apparently.
You know what mine is?
What?
What's mine, Lana? What's my catnip?
Time travel.
And
oh, God.
Heists.
And heists, yeah.
And I was not expecting this film to do both. It was made.
A time heist. Nice Doctor Who reference, by
the
way.
It was just for me. It was made just for me.
Actually, that's one thing I was going to mention. To go from the seriousness of the therapy session and not too much later, sort of them explaining this is how we're going to do the time travel thing. And Scott Lang goes, okay, we can't talk to ourselves. There's no betting on sports. and no, Tony goes, no, this isn't Back to the Future. And then Tony explains, and at the end, Scott Lang goes, are you saying Back to the Future is a shitty movie?
I love how they just dunk on every single time travel movie up to that point.
Yes.
But then they follow the Back to the Future rules.
Yes,
they
did.
still wound up trying to avoid themselves.
Yes.
And all
and
those
failed
tropes.
quite miserably, actually.
That's America's ass.
That's America's ass.
That's the best.
I can do this all day. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
sure
I know.
you can.
Yeah.
I love Captain America realizing, I really was a sanctimonious genius. I really was.
However,
Sorry to jump in, but I love the fact that every single trailer for this movie was only the first 5
Showed
minutes.
nothing.
Yes.
Showed nothing.
Perfect.
Absolutely.
Which is perfect. We
Love
need
it.
trailers like that back because
It's
how many
just like
trailers
one
give
of
away the entire
It's
friggin'
kind
movie
of like
lately?
the Last Jedi movie. Also
Yeah.
gave us everything that nothing
All the
was,
vibe.
all the vibe, and nothing other than like the.
You wouldn't have guessed that Tony was saved in the first 5 minutes of the
No,
movie.
God,
Captain
no.
Marvel saves him. Okay, let's move on.
You
Moving on.
would think
Moving
that
on.
right that everything that we saw in the trailer was.
Now you want to talk about PTSD, by the way? How about early Tony?
Oh God.
You
Wow.
know, and how he was reacting and telling basically area to go screw themselves, and he was out, and I'm going home, and I got mine at least. To hell with y'all, and that was an entirely different character than what you were expecting to see.
But it was so right.
Yes.
It was so incredibly right. I
Yeah.
think everyone reacted exactly the way they should have reacted to those things. And we nailed it. We nailed it way back when. We nailed it about Ronan.
We did.
We did. We predicted that.
We
win.
called it. We knew it, and we were right. And so we're going to pat ourselves on the shoulder for that one. Before we get too far into the rest of the stuff, but I want to talk. I want to wheel back a little bit to how it was a very methodical, slow-paced movie for the bulk of it, and I'm thinking that's good. I liked it, and because I've seen so many wrap-up and franchise closing movies in the past that have rushed. It's like when a TV series has been canceled and so they're trying to pack in all the great storylines in the last 2 or 3 episodes of the last season, and you're just like, what the hell just happened to me? These are people who knew the end was near because they were in control of it. And they knew the end of this chapter of the MCU was happening. That was the entire purpose of the movie. So we're going to pace it so that we can get all of the fan service that we want and all the little references in so we can make the plot. So we're going to telegraph damn near everything so that you feel like you know exactly what's happening at all times and then you never see the twists coming.
Perfect example.
Give me one.
The fight between Captain America and Captain America.
Right.
No, in that, Cap as we know him, not the Captain America from
the past.
How do I defeat myself?
Well, he knows more. He's 10 years wiser.
But what I'm saying is, you never expect to hear Bucky's alive.
Yeah, no.
And that right there,
That was
if
the
you look
Martha
at it-
moment for me. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
As soon as he said Bucky's alive, all I could think of was Billy mocking the Martha moment in Batman versus Superman. That was to me that was just not the right way to have pulled that moment.
The whole thing is for me.
Yeah.
My mind immediately flashed back to Winter Soldier when he sees Bucky for the first time. You just see him drop his guard completely.
Right.
Right? And so he knew he did that himself.
Uh-huh.
So that was the way to defeat him.
So I think a moment that for me was a better indication of exactly what you're talking about was Hail Hydra.
That
I
was
was
great.
waiting for someone. I was waiting
That
for
was
to say
that was such a salute to the comic book series, the recent comic book series.
Only time that is an acceptable time for Captain America to say that is in that moment.
Agreed.
I was waiting for him to say, does anyone want to get off before we start?
That's what I was expecting.
That's what I was expecting. Everybody was expecting that.
Yes,
that
we were expecting
entire
that.
elevator was set up the exact same way. Because I pulled up Civil War and I looked. The elevator, everybody was in the same place in that elevator scene that they are in Civil War.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, they're going to do it again.
But they couldn't.
And then he goes, Hail Hydra. And Renlo pissed himself right there on the spot. Just pissed himself. And that was it. And it was over. And I'm like, wow.
And the smile as he's walking off
He's
the
like-
elevator was awesome.
He's like, I know something you guys don't.
Yep.
Becca, favorite Avenger?
Do you even have to ask?
Captain America.
Yeah.
You like America's ass, don't you?
She's also
doesn't?
cosplayed him.
I know. I have to say these things because I want to put it on record because I'm going to ask Andy the same question. Favorite Avenger?
That's tough. This is gonna be weird. I like Sam. I like Falcon just because he is.
Falcon's awesome.
The thing I like about him
Uh-huh.
is he's broken. He knows it. He doesn't. He's not afraid to put that up front that he's broken. But you watch him, and for all you hear that he's broken, he never shows it, which means he's on his way to getting better.
Yeah.
Which is something that's different from a lot of
He's always got
the
this
other
kind of
characters.
He's always calm about things because he understands. He's got his and he understands his place and stuff.
Yeah, but the other thing is, it seems like he deals with his inner conflict better than anyone else.
And let's not talk about the finales just yet. We're going to get to all of the finales in a few minutes here. But I want to go around the table real quick. I'm assuming by your reaction, Little Monk, that you have a similar opinion that Andy does to a favorite Avenger.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I do.
So you're both.
Thank you, Andy.
No problem.
All right, Sherry.
That's hard.
It is hard.
Really, really hard.
You can love them all, but just pick one right now off the top of your head that sticks out in your head.
Natasha.
Okay, Tanya.
What she said.
Okay, Ann.
Hulk.
Hulk.
That's why it's hard.
Finky Hulk was a lot of fun to watch. Finky Hulk was a lot of fun to watch. Go ahead, Billy. Give me a favorite.
I'm going Tony.
Going Tony?
Yeah.
I am Iron Man.
Yep. I am. There's a triple of Iron Man fans in the house because he's been my guy since Iron Man 2008. I was actually watching that this morning when Tiny showed up to pick me up for
Iron Man as a
today.
character, but Captain America as an ideal.
I could go with that.
I can go. I'm down for that.
That's a great observation, actually. I do like that observation.
Least favorite.
My least favorite?
Least favorite Avenger.
I gotta say, I'm sorry to say, it's got to be Clint. But that's not Clint's. That's not Jerry Renner's fault. It's not Clint's fault as a character because I've seen some animated features and some comic books with Hawkeye that are awesome. It's MCU's fault, in my opinion. They have not. They finally gave him some loving in Endgame, but they missed so many opportunities throughout the previous 22 movies.
So I still love him.
For reference, Becca is making a thank you to God face and motion right now.
They missed so many opportunities with Hawkeye. And go ahead. Tanya, least favorite? I don't think you have one. I love the
Are
whole
we
family.
talking original Avengers or just the cast?
Everybody
in
who's
general?
shown up in the MCU at this point as
Okay.
an Avenger.
All right.
I don't think I have a least favorite, so to speak.
I'm
Just not ones that give love to.
Finky
all
Hulk over regular Hulk.
Not a big fan. Not a big fan.
I
Big
loved looking at the Mark. It gave Mark Ruffalo something to do.
Yeah.
In the movie, and I enjoyed that. I'm going to go Captain Marvel though, just because they haven't done
I haven't seen
enough
her at
with
full
her
throttle
yet.
yet. Yeah, I
and
haven't seen her
I didn't.
really
I
in
didn't
depth.
love the solo movie.
I
Okay.
would probably say like Mantis.
Mantis is cute though.
Yeah,
She's
but
good.
that's
There's a
all
purpose
she
to her.
is.
Yeah.
That's all
it's
she
just,
is cute.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna agree with Billy though. I like Captain Marvel, but not as much as I like literally everybody else.
Yeah. Which is fine. I think that you're going to see. It's like when we're talking about Doctor Who, Jodie Whittaker, her first season was weak because the writing was careful and not really taking her off the leash. So it's not a comment on Jodie, it's a comment on the writing. And I think in series 2, you're going to see the Doctor really kind of come into her own. I think it's the same way with Captain Marvel. It was treated almost the identical same way, where that first movie, there was a lot of safe. They didn't go for the guts. They didn't go for the risk. They didn't go for the payoff. They went for the nice, easygoing movie that will introduce this character without a whole lot of stepping on toes. Now that they know they have the character established, they can come around and really start waffling some things upside the head with a brick. What?
That's a really good point. I'm actually listening to a podcast right now where they're going through all of the MCU movies one at a time, culminating with Endgame. And one of the things that they talk about is the most successful of the MCU movies are the ones where they take chances.
Yes.
The ones that they do the safe thing are not nearly as successful. Like
Well,
they were
Captain
saying,
Marvel
they were
was
saying,
profitable because the hype. Everybody was looking forward
but
to it.
They were talking about how Iron Man. Who would ever have thought to hire Robert Downey Jr. with his past,
Right.
and with the roles he's had in the past? Why would they ever think to do? He's not an action star. Nobody was thinking about that.
And think back then. I mean, everybody now knows who Iron Man is, but
Yeah.
back then he was a B character.
He
for
was.
Sure.
So he was a B character with an actor who pretty much everyone assumed his career was over. His career was just over. They took the director.
Jon Favreau, yeah. I was
Yeah,
just
he's
gonna
a
say.
comedy director. I mean,
Yeah.
and a rom-com director at that.
At that.
And then they went to The Incredible Hulk, where they picked a huge action star.
No, Edward Norton was not
Well,
a huge
he was a
action
huge star at
He was
the
a
time.
huge star, yeah.
But he
Also
had done
a pain in the
and he
ass.
had done some acts. He'd done some action, and they picked a big action director. and the movie
Tanked.
Well, tanked for the
It
MCU.
It tanked.
But then
to the point where they basically retconned it.
yeah.
No,
Not
that,
entirely.
That
No.
was the retcon. The original was the Ang Lee with Eric
Eric.
Bana.
But
Yeah.
that's not part of this.
That's not an MCU
It's
movie.
not
though.
Oh,
one
yeah,
of the
yeah,
MCU
yeah.
movies.
Yeah.
But so it was that, and it was a good point. Is when they take chances is when they do the best. When the MCU has done the best, they borrowed money for Iron Man. They had no clue if it was going to pay off, and they just wanted to make their money back, so maybe they could make another one.
And to Sherry's point, who heard of Guardians of the Galaxy before that movie came
Well,
out?
me, but I'm
No,
weird.
but that's what I'm saying is that
Yeah.
it's become maybe
Household
my
name.
favorite of the characters.
Yeah.
And James Gunn was not a
am
household
Groot.
name before that.
So, all right, where are we going here?
I am Groot.
You're in. Yeah.
Oh, so we didn't finish. And least favorite Avenger.
Groot.
Groot.
He was not used well enough.
No, that's true. It's not the
yeah.
character. It's with my Hawkeye point.
Yeah.
Not used appropriate. I
Yeah.
mean, the
Or
original
Valkyrie.
Groot, huh?
Or Valkyrie.
Valkyrie. Well, here
I'm not a huge Valkyrie fan, and I want.
I think
to.
Valkyrie was fine in Thor Ragnarok, her movie.
Yeah.
Okay. What we need to do now is before we start nitpicking that, I think Ann and I are talking about over the course of.
Oh,
because
okay.
in the first Guardians movie, Groot was at his best. He grows back a lot faster in the comic books than he has in the movies.
Yes.
And I think that they did him a disservice by leaving him in in Guardians 2
As teenage Groot.
and in Infinity War, so they've kind of they gimped him a little bit. But anyway,
Tony.
there was a-
broke Andy.
there was a point that they gimped him. They really did. Damn. There was a
If
point
he
I
had
wanted to
grown
make.
as fast as he had in the comic books,
Yeah, then that
he
would have been
been
fine.
and he would have been much more useful than a Brody, angry little teenager in this
Right.
one.
Yeah, and I didn't like that.
I just have to keep reminding myself they're not the same character. They're not the same
Right.
character.
But with Valkyrie,
the
I'm going to
original
cut.
Groot is not Teen Groot.
I'm going to
They're
cut
different
Tony off at the pass with the Valkyrie mention because when you have a movie that is so and in a scene that third act was the annual. That was the fan service, the biggest fan service. You're not going to be able to give proper screen time to every single character at that point. Once they're back, you've got very little time left between the return of everybody and the end of the movie. And so to have a substantial Black Panther scene is impossible. To have a substantial Okoye scene, impossible. Spider-Man, Ant-Man, all of these guys who work, well, Ant-Man was throughout the movie, but anyway, you're getting the idea of what I'm talking about. Doctor Strange, you're not going to get any more than 30 to 45 seconds of actual screen time for these characters. So Valkyrie, she had a little bit of because she was not really going to be part of the main cast, so Valkyrie had a little bit of a nod when they brought Thor in and a little bit of a nod when they kicked Thor out. All right. But to say that, I can't, I would be hard-pressed to say it was a bad character because of her part of Endgame. Do you see where I was going with that? Please
Yeah, I
say
see where
yes.
you're going.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just didn't really like her in Ragnarok.
Well, it's too bad because I liked her.
Oh, and in Ragnarok, I would tend to agree. I liked her character in Ragnarok. Although I do feel like she definitely needs more expounding from that.
She's supposed to be getting something, isn't she? Or no, they're pretty much done unless they pop her back up in the MCU somewhere along
They're
the
going
line.
to do, there's her and Hemsworth in the new MIB.
Yeah, MIB, the fourth Men in Black movie's coming out where you have Thor and Valkyrie.
There is talk of a Thor 4.
They're talking about it, but I have not seen anything other than talk. So I think what's going to do is it's going to depend on how much he's involved in Guardians 3.
Which he's officially not on the cast yet.
He's on the cast list. Yeah, I mean, I heard a lot of people earlier when we were talking about it are very like, yes, this is a thing, but I'm a newsman now when it comes to nerd stuff, so I have to be very careful about what I confirm and what I don't confirm. And so I'm not really all the way to
There's talk about.
Yeah, I would assume there's a lot of talk. I would love to see it, and I think they set it up obviously.
Oh, yeah,
So if you look at the clues in Endgame, you're thinking, okay, he's in Guardians 3, but
Well, and they called it as Guardians of the Galaxy.
yes, Guardians. Well, that's
He did because there's a.
But he's made reference to that in the comic books too. Thor was part of the Guardians at one point, and he called them the Asgardians of the Galaxy, and it drove Quill nuts.
Okay, as long as we're talking about Guardians, where's Gamora right now? Is
Gamora?
Gamora.
Yeah.
Gamora is actually
Gamora is a
fighting
flying
Godzilla.
turtle. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
but Gamora is
something else green.
is past Gamora now current Guardian of the
Yes.
Galaxy.
But
Yes.
she's missing. That's who Quill's searching for at the end of the
That's
movie.
what I would imagine is going to be part of the story.
You don't
You
see
don't
her
know what
fate in the
happened to
final
her.
battle, but you see her show up. So if
Show up,
if
help, and
Gamora
then-
is out there, it's past Gamora. It's not the Gamora that died on Vormir.
Because I love that one line. Well, it was either him or a talking or a tree. I forget.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so she's currently not with the Guardians.
Yeah. Okay. I was wondering where she went to after she helped.
We don't know. We
So-
do not know.
Favorite part so far of the first two acts. One, I just want to because the third act is an entirely different conversation.
We still haven't gone around to see least favorite Avengers.
Oh,
for,
yes, I'm sorry, I didn't
for
finish that conversation
Becca and
today.
I think.
Hey, Becca, who's your least favorite Avenger?
Toss up between Hawkeye because they did him a disservice,
Right.
and Marvel. I just feel like it's the movie was kind of flat. Also, I feel like she's just really overpowered, and they used her as like an ex machina,
Yeah.
and it felt like a bit of a cheat.
Well, yeah, and I think we touched on that already. So
Like
I see what
I
you're
was
saying.
glad they had Thanos with the Power Stone actually knocking her out.
That was a clever move on his part
That was
to
cool.
dislodge the Power Stone, pop it in his other hand, and then punch her in the face with it.
Yes, I was glad they had that because she's just like really overpowered, and it feels like she can't be defeated.
Right, and that's part of the. I think her exploration in the comic books, you see the character development where she knows she's the most powerful thing in the universe until she runs into the thing that actually is. You know, and that's kind of where she finds her limits and has to learn that you just can't slug away at something because not everything is going to, fall and crumple before you. So, but yeah, I mean, Hawkeye got a disservice throughout the entire MCU. They gave him some love at the end, but it was, not enough as far as I'd like to see that character fully justified in the future. Yes, go ahead.
They gave him some
Bouncing baby
love
monk.
in Age of Ultron.
Some. Hawkeye.
Okay.
Some. I know Tanya has been giving him lots of love over the past 8 years since they introduced him in Thor, the first Thor. She's like, Jeremy Renner, yay.
Yay.
She once said to me during a
even
board meeting.
one of the Bourne movies.
Yes, 2 of the Bourne movies he's in. He's in 2 of them. Anyway, Tanya once said to me during a board meeting that can we bring in Jeremy Renner as a VIP? Just don't expect him to be on the floor.
He could be on a floor.
He could be on a floor.
Oh my goodness!
Just not the floor.
Tanya, thank you.
There's more room sometimes. Sorry. Come on, I can hope and
And
dream
favorite part of
and
the first
wish and-
2/3 of the movie.
Dead air.
I honestly think Hulk having the conversations and actually being a person that can talk and not all hulky. Maybe when he's like throwing a car and being like throw and like pounding on the top of a car like Hulk smash, like he's faking it so well.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was
a good one.
and
When
it
they were
was
in New York.
and it was excellent CGI. It was excellent CGI.
It did blend very nicely.
Yes, no
They did that
mustache problems.
very well.
Billy, favorite part of the first 2/3 of the movie.
I was going to go Tony and his dad.
Okay.
But I think I was just really happy to see Tony and Steve talking to each other.
Yeah.
And just that I almost choked me up. Even though initially there were still bad blood between them, I sort of like the mending of fences between those two.
Yet they said that even we'll lose together.
Yeah.
Right. Right. And then that's a good callback to what they've built together, the two of them. How about you there, young lady? Miss Monk?
Bruce giving Ant-Man those 2 tacos after Ant-Man lost his tacos. That was just awesome. It was just like, oh, he did not really give him 1, he gave him 2. I'm sorry,
Poor
that
Ant-Man.
needed some love.
Poor Ant-Man was just, Scott was just getting shafted early on. He was like, wait, what? Although I got to tell you,
missed everything.
of the touching scenes in the early part of the movie, Scott being reunited with his now teenage daughter was a shot right through the soul. I was like, oh my God, him and Cassie having their reunion, and Cassie is now a late teenage, instead of this little adolescent tiny thing.
I know this has been brought up online and stuff, but really, did Peter Parker's whole school disappear? Is that why
That's
everyone
that's the discussion
That's the
that
debate
I was
right now, isn't it? Because it looked like they were all reunited at the end.
From what I'm gathering, it was just Peter's specific friend group.
They're all gone.
I think. Well, you know,
then
we've
there's
got
still at least one that didn't really like Peter. Thinks Spider-Man's cool, but it's like, yeah, what's up, Peter?
Yeah, Flash.
In regards to the new movie coming out, but yeah,
Yeah, like, Far From Home is supposed to shed some light on that kind of head-scratching plot hole.
Okay.
Yeah, because apparently Tom Holland even said this seems a little confusing to me that everybody seems to be right in the same spot.
But because I was looking at something this morning in regards to it, it said, well, if they were snapped out of existence and snapped back into existence, they are still the same age. Everyone else is aged. So, like, maybe if their teachers might be 5 years older, whatever, because maybe they didn't disappear. But
plus
a good
probability,
of the school,
you have a 1 in 2 chance of getting snapped out of existence. So
there was a website
50%
out there.
50% of the school had to have gone.
Yeah.
There was a website out there. You hit a randomizer button, and it told you if you survived the snap or not. I did not. I'm very bummed about that, by the way.
Oh, well.
Yeah, so...
So we've traveled through time, and this is a different version of you that's hosting this
yeah,
podcast?
there you go. Well, I got snapped back in, didn't I? That's a thing. So let's do it. We've talked about some various bits and pieces and bits and pieces.
Wait.
No,
My favorite...
I'm not going to wait. Screw you. You're fired.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead, Tony.
I would say my favorite scene was Tony and his daughter.
Okay, Morgan.
Yeah.
I love you 3000.
Yeah.
That's the setup right there.
Yeah.
Because you knew. That
was a nice setup, and then it lets you for later when they knock you down.
See, I think I was just so into everything happening as it was happening. I didn't
necessarily see all the
foreshadowing. I didn't see the foreshadowing.
Okay.
I didn't see the stuff at the end. I still didn't know who was going to die, it just never occurred to me to think about it as they were foreshadowing it.
Well, you know, the I Love You 3000 thing came in before he actually cracked the time travel equation. So they hadn't signed up the team. So you didn't know, you didn't have the hint that Clint or Natasha was going was going out. But there was something about the tenor of it. There was something about the flavor of that whole mix match between Pepper and Tony and Morgan and back and forth a little bit there. There was something there that told me that Iron Man was the guy. That Steve was going to survive, but I just didn't know that. Couldn't see the nuances of Steve's survival coming up. But I knew, I kind of had that hint that they set Tony up.
The only thing I thought absolutely going in was that Steve and Peggy were going to wind up together.
I didn't see that part.
That was the only thing
didn't see that one
in
coming.
my head, even before the movie came out, my head was telling me, as soon as I got the feeling time travel was going to be involved. You know, I said, well, Steve and Peggy are going to wind up together.
I'm glad it did. I was so into it.
But then that throws another plot hole into the mix. Did he spend a different timeline with her during this whole thing and then jump back in?
Well, they're playing with the multiverse at this point.
How did he make sure that nobody saw him?
Well, it wouldn't
or
be that
it
difficult.
didn't totally shift Agent Carter's show and
everything. You can't go. Here's the thing: you're not going to be able to do that kind of armchair quarterbacking at this point. You're not going to be able to do that. What's going on?
Becca's got to go.
Oh, you're taking off?
I got church.
We miss you already. Becca.
This is our church.
Yes, the Church of Nerd, the Church of the Wandering Penguin. You can't go back and start nitpicking all of that because you're going to give yourself a migraine when you do that. The best thing to do at this point is just acknowledge the fact that in the trailer for Far From Home, the next Spider-Man movie, they make reference to the multiverse. So what they're going to do is they're going to do the DM hand wave, and they're going to be like, okay, all these timelines, they split, they did this thing, they did that thing, that other thing. Don't think too hard. Just enjoy the moment. And when you see Steve go back in time, and they're like, okay, we're going to bring him back. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Nothing happens. And then you see Bucky kind of quietly look off to the side. He's got that look in his eye and he goes, Sam. And you see the back of the old man. And I'm like, now that was the moment when I was finally on board with where Billy is, where I knew I could see it playing all out in my head. to the point when they do the focusing on the fact that he's wearing a wedding ring, I knew exactly who had the other one. I knew where the match set was. And so when they fade back and they do the flashback to the little suburban house with the picket fence and everything, and you hear the music.
Post World War II.
Yeah,
Greatest
you
Generation.
know exactly where this is going, and you love it anyway. So that's the thing.
My friend Nate, on the way out of the theater, he was like, "So does that mean Captain America fooled around with his niece?"
Oh my God! Not by blood. Not by blood.
And he didn't really fool around too hard with her anyway.
Okay. Like
Sherry the Nandy.
I'm sorry. Like with the Star Trek reboot, and you think about, okay, well, if this is what happened, then none of that other stuff happened. It did. There was a point where everything
changes,
branched. So we can't think of things. No, this Steve never did. The old man Steve sitting there talking to them and giving away his shield was not the same one who kissed Sharon Carter.
Actually, it is.
It
was.
Definitely
was him.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. Because he's the one that goes back in time and decides, I'm going to stay here instead of go back to the present.
And he switched he brought everything back and then stayed.
All right, we're not meshing up, but I'm sorry to say that's not entirely correct, sweetie. Anyway, we'll come back to that. Andy.
Yeah, I was thinking about I think it was either Fat Man Beyond or in Smith's review when they were talking about the whole time issue, and there's the fact that Peggy Carter says, that she got married, this, that, and the other thing.
Right.
It never says who she got married to. There is, so she could have known all along and never said anything about it.
There was a reference, because at one point in one of the movies, I can't remember which one offhand, but she's doing one of those newsreel interviews, and she makes mention of the fact that he saved the man who would eventually become her husband.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she never says who that is. The man who would
He
eventually
saved
become
himself.
her husband.
I hate all of you.
Because if you think about it, she says to him, that she had a life.
All right, but moving over here. Okay, props. You can't see this, listener. I'm sorry, but props. Here's the Steve that's going all through history. Here's the Steve. Ooh, I'm kissing Sharon Carter. I'm moving on. Now I'm going to go back in time. Still the same Steve. See, Galaxy S9, still Steve. Yeah. All right, he's still. And then he's like, okay, I did my bit for King and Country. Where's Peggy? Still the same Steve.
Yes.
So he's still snogged. He still snogged Sharon.
Yes.
It's the same Steve.
But not in that. But it's changed because when he got to that point again, he wasn't there to snog Sharon again.
He was. It was just the one that went through the 40 years in the ice.
Stop overthinking. You're going to give yourself some migraine.
It's all confusing.
Anyway.
To quote Chris.
And you're right,
Yes.
by the way, Chris.
Huh?
You're absolutely right.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're absolutely
So,
right.
for the first time in several movies, they finally did it. Avengers Assemble.
Yes!
I will admit, I screamed. The guy next to me, who had been at FC3, which I thought was hilarious, I'm sitting there in the theater. The kids are next to me, as I explained earlier, and then these group of fellows sit next to my left, on your left, and he goes, "Oh, this is so cool! I get to see the coolest movie with you." And I'm like, "Yeah, all right, good, dude, okay." And then he holds up his arm, does the sleeve thing, boom, pops it down. He's wearing his FC3 bracelets.
That's awesome.
And I'm like, whoa. He goes, yeah, I'm going to see the movie with you. This is awesome. I'm like, okay, cool. I wish you had higher bar to work with there, buddy. But, Anyway, so I scream. He screams. Jules is going, don't get it. Because it's not her thing, right?
Right.
But also the on your left.
On your left was awesome. That was awesome. Cap. And then you're like, it did work. Because that's when you're like, oh my God, you hear Falcon for the first time. And you're like, oh, it did work. It worked. And then you start seeing the teleportation circles kind of like start fading into play. And, you're like, yes, it happened. And they all start pouring through. And I think Wong had the best line. You want more? Or is that everybody? Or something like that?
The line is that everybody? Have you seen the meme that's going around now?
No.
Wong with the, is that everybody? And there's Daredevil, Jessica Jones.
Oh, yeah.
I swear the portal's going to open soon.
Yeah, anytime now. Oh, man.
Hey, there was only one thing missing from that.
What?
Giant battle scene.
Uh-huh.
Nick Fury with a purple lightsaber.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
For a brief second in time, I was thinking you were about to say cowbell.
No, I would never. Honestly, I would never do that.
Right now, Lana and I and my mother are doing a kind of a Veronica Mars watch through.
Oh, I love that show.
Me too. And I'm realizing, oh my God, look at all the MCU people. Look at all the Marvel people that were in Veronica Valkyrie, Jessica Jones.
Yeah.
I'm just like, what the? Because when I watched it, I didn't know who most of these people were.
That show is so good.
It is.
And they're redoing. There's going to be a new season on Hulu soon.
Yep.
All right, Tanya.
What?
You've been strangely quiet over there.
I'm looking for Agent Carter's husband mystery.
She's doing research.
I am. What?
So Cap finally pulls off the Avengers Assemble. Everybody piles in, and you were saying, sorry, you were about to say something else. It looked like you were about to say something else.
No, I said what? What is? Because you were like.
Oh, okay. And
Monk had something.
Well, no,
Oh,
apparently
okay.
he's leading up to that.
I wasn't ready for that. And then where was I? I had a thought, and then you derailed it. Damn you.
Avengers assemble, they all come out.
And then and then you get the ultimate fan service. That's it. The whole fight is the ultimate fan service. And then they treat the new Infinity Gauntlet like a football.
Oh my! Peter Parker.
It's the ultimate flea flicker.
I love the part where Peter Parker's just he's like hunched over it, and then all the female Avengers are like, "We'll get it.
Yeah.
We got it.
We got this.
You're good."
Okay. One problem with where the heck did Valkyrie's mount come from? Why is she showing up with a mount?
Do you have to have an answer to that?
Yes!
No, I'm not giving you one because I do know. I'm just not telling you.
They saved it from
No,
Asgard.
it's a feature of her weapon.
Oh, it is?
It's a feature of her weapon. She can call her mount. It's like a paladin sword.
That would be awesome if they had ever once mentioned that. So I wasn't sitting there going, "The hell?"
It was probably on the but it's probably on the editing room floor type
There's
thing.
a lot of things on the editing room floor, apparently. The director's cut
Jeremy Renner. Just
Supposedly, like
the
right
director's
before
cut of this movie will probably be like 5 hours long.
The supposedly during the snap, Tony's supposed to have like a vision of himself with his daughter as he's snapping, but his daughter's like 15, 20 or something years old.
Oh, right. It was the girl who played the lead in the 13 Reasons.
Yeah, I think so.
Miniseries. Yeah, Catherine Langford is the actress's name. He was supposed to have a moment with her during Tony's snap, but they cut it out. And I think that's where I was heading was that snap, the second snap, Tony's.
I am Iron Man.
I am Iron Man.
I am
the improvised line that capstoned the very first MCU movie ever. He was not meant to say anything. He was meant to just read the cards and maybe do a little thing and then go about its business. But he improvised the line. Fabs put it in to the movie. I am Iron Man. And that was the capstone of the very first movie, and then it became the culmination of Tony Stark's story, his last words in the MCU.
I don't know if this is true. It's something I just heard the other day, was that the first Iron Man movie didn't really have a true script.
Yes,
a lot of it was just kind of like, okay, we're going to do this, and then this, and then this, and here, just talk.
There were a couple of scenes that were supposed to be improvised, but it was a lot more structured than
That's what I
hearing.
thought. It really kind of struck me as odd that wouldn't have been more structured, but I just didn't know. But I do know at least quite a bit of it was improvised.
Who had the feels when that snap hit? Ann didn't. Ann didn't have the feels.
Nope.
Why?
Nope.
I didn't cry, and I didn't go to the ladies' room once either. But
No, I got through the whole. I got the whole thing without a bathroom break.
Same.
No, go ahead. Go ahead, Tony.
I didn't. I started bawling. So.
No.
At the funeral, I
Sniffly.
definitely had sniffles and tears running down my face.
So, are you still leaning on the whole "this was not in the comic books" thing?
No. I mean, I like the movie for what it was.
Okay.
Honestly, it is. It was very entertaining and great to get through.
Uh-huh.
But I just didn't get the feels because I in my brain kept thinking, well, this isn't right. No, that didn't happen, and I need to learn to separate
so you're still
that
stuck
more.
in the you're still stuck in the comic book lore.
Yeah. So.
Okay.
But at the same point, I was like, oh my gosh, look at that. And my poor husband, who has to sit next to me during all these movies, going, I didn't read that yet. And
well, So, you know it now.
Yes.
But now, general question: was there a better ending? Could they have done it differently? In the general opinion, was there a better way to do it than having Tony do it?
No, I don't think so. I think in the end, it needed to be that way because in some of the comic books, they do end them a little bit different.
Right.
But this was a better wrap up of what's happened the last 11 years.
Right.
Tony started it. Tony ended it.
That's it. And a Stark saves the universe. I'm not making a Game of Thrones reference. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Anyway, go ahead, Andy, and then Monk.
I think that,
and then we're gonna start closing up shop.
I think that for Tony's story, who he was, his journey, where he's come to, he's got to be the one to end it. If for no other reason, then that is the final. I'm Tony Stark. I'm Playboy. I'm Tony Stark. I've had problems. I'm Tony Stark. I've gotten better from my problems. I'm Tony Stark, and I'm doing something that has, from going back to the first movie,
whatever it takes.
But it's not about weapons for profit. It's not about anything for profit. It's for truly doing for other people. And that is
there's the next mission.
Ultimate sign, the ultimate sign of it. Because even him getting married, having a daughter, the whole 9 yards, that was still all about him.
Yep.
Finally, he's doing something that isn't about him.
And then Cap did something just for himself.
Yeah.
So you see the flip.
For the first time.
Yeah. You see the flip. You see the selfish one go completely selfless, and the selfless one go a little on the selfish side at the end. I thought that was, and I thought that was a clever way to kind of show the dynamic between those two characters. Yes, Monk.
Absolutely love that. The one thing I wanted more than anything else was that either Bucky or Sam needed to get the shield in the end.
Yeah, and they both had the shield in various points of the history of the comic books. If I remember correctly, Bucky had stood in, and then Sam was very pointedly had been given the shield by old man Steve, when Steve had the serum pulled out of him at one point. So I thought that was a good passing of the torch moment. Yes. I liked that. That was definitely a good passing of the torch moment.
That was a
All
great part for me.
Last licks. Anything anybody want to talk about? Anything in particular?
There's a lot, but nothing on my head.
You got 3 hours of movie. So talk amongst yourselves. Talk to each other. Talk to us. Make sure you're sending messages to us on Twitter, on Facebook. Post things to this particular podcast's posting. We want to have the discussion keep going. I got to see this movie again. I know that I have to, just for the sake of I loved it, but I also want to make sure that I'm seeing all the little details that I may have missed. Going ooh ah oh.
Actually, now that I've seen it once, I want to go back and watch the whole series again.
All 22?
All just right in a row, because even going back to Thor 2, it made me go, well, I sort of remember that when they went back in time to the scenes from Thor 2. I wish I had a better grasp on exactly what was happening 8 years ago when that movie came out.
I think the cameos, there wasn't a throwaway cameo in the entire movie. All the cameos, all the little throwbacks, the callbacks, they were awesome. They were really good. Well done. All right, so this movie, we can talk about it for hours upon hours upon hours. We're not going to today, but the conversation can continue going forward in other places. So we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to wrap up the business for this particular podcast and talk about some other stuff.
Let's go to break with a little bit of Tony.
Nice. Nice.
What a time to be named Tony.
Does the song actually go anywhere? Is that it?
Here, I'm going this way.
He's gonna. There we go.
There we go.
Missed opportunity that they have never used it.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's right. In the first
one, they did it in the closing credits of the first movie.
Took it out.
I was just watching the first movie today, and it was there. That's amazing. Okay, wow.
Oh no, they had it when he first came out of the cave. When he made after his first suit, they had it, and then they took it out.
I see. Well, I'm talking the closing credits of the first movie are there.
Yeah.
All right, so we are proud to announce a new partnership with the 585 Rocking Burger Bar, and it's on Pixley Road. We're going to be partnering with them to do events every Tuesday starting in middle of June, I believe June 18th, if I'm not mistaken, Miss Ann. Stay tuned for here and all of our social media channels for details as that really kind of kicks into place. Specifically, though, on July 27th, it's a Saturday, join us at the 585 Rocking Burger Bar for Mighty Monkey Corporation Cosplay Karaoke Night. The karaoke will be running from 6 to 8 p.m., and you stick around for live music with Wicked, 70s, 80s hair band, and they'll be extraordinaire at 8:30 in the evening right after the cosplay karaoke. It's a $5 cover charge. There will be a 50-50 raffle. There will be raffle baskets and a dessert table that will tempt even the most discerning palates, especially if you like cupcakes, apparently. So keep that in mind, and if you're thinking about us, think about the 585 Burger Bar. They got a great couple of spaces. They got the outdoor concert space, which is where the karaoke and Wicked will be playing, and then they have the downstairs hangout room, the inner sanctum, we're now starting to call it, and we will be there. If you want to be part of the Mighty Monkey Business system, I can't even think straight right now. If you want to be part of the corporation, become a sponsor. We've talked about it 1,000 times before. We'll talk about it 1,000 times more. There are plenty of levels, and we could even tailor something to what you want. It's sponsorships at fc3roc.org. Follow us on Patreon. You know the deal. You can hear it. You can see it. Go to the website and take part in it. When you're there, there's going to be the whole new writer's blog with James Irish and our own beloved Sherry Elbersky already contributing. If you have anything you want to contribute, reach out to us at media@fc3roc.org. Is there a place you find your podcast, but you still can't find FC3 Monkey Business? Let us know, and we'll figure out how to fix that. And follow us on Twitter at FC3MB Podcast. And if you do, say hi. We love it when you do. So that's that from this. Now we have our question of the week. Tony.
Yes?
You're fired.
Okay.
No, I'm kidding.
Bye.
What two characters played by the same actor or actress would be most freaked out if they suddenly switch places, and why? What two characters played by the same actor or actress would be most freaked out if they suddenly switch places, and why?
This question seems to be confusing you.
Do
you want me to give you an answer?
Let me see if I'll give you an example, see if I'm understanding this.
Okay.
All right. Chris Pine as the guy in Princess Diaries 2.
Okay.
And Chris Pine is Captain Kirk. And
Yes.
suddenly they flip places, and
Yes.
Captain Kirk is in Princess Diaries 2. And the little Count Prince, whatever the hell he is now on the bridge of the Enterprise.
Yes.
How confused would they? Am I in the right ballpark
You
with
are
that?
exactly in the right ballpark, and I have one.
So if
that's
Sherlock
even
and Doctor
more-
Strange flip
I was thinking Sherlock and Smog.
and Smog.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Okay. Smog would just eat Moriarty.
Smog wouldn't fit in the apartment.
No,
Yeah.
I was thinking of it as just their mind
Minds.
switched. Their bodies stayed the same. All of a
see,
sudden,
that was not.
Smog's
There's
body's
no way.
in
I was
heaven.
No.
thinking-
We're gonna go the more clear route where the characters wholesale switches place, because quite frankly, that's just too esoteric for me. All right. So Billy,
Yes.
what two characters played by the same actor or actress, if they flipped, would be the most hilarious thing to watch?
I've been thinking about this for close to a week, and I'm thinking Robin Williams as Popeye.
Please say the
And-
genie. Please say the genie. Please say the genie.
Genie's not bad. I was thinking Robin Williams as Mork, but
Okay. Or Miss
but,
Doubtfire?
But really, what I'd really like to see is Donald Trump the president and Donald Trump the guy from Home Alone 2.
Oh, who would be most freaked out? Oh, I love it. I love it. I absolutely do love it.
Because maybe the helpful guy in the lobby of the Trump Towers would be a better president.
There you go. I have to agree with you on that one. Hey, Monk,
Yes.
what's your choice for this particular one?
Just thinking about Chris Evans in
Not another teen movie?
no.
Okay.
No. I was thinking like Captain America and the Human Torch.
Okay. Johnny Storm and Steve Rogers switch places. That
But
could be
they're
interesting.
still both superheroes.
Yeah,
They're
it's
still
both Marvel superheroes, too, so it's
Actually,
kind of...
Tony and I had discussed that possibility before this recording.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah?
we were talking about that.
Yeah.
That's good. Who have I not gone to so far? I've gone to Billy and Monk. All right. And so, Tanya.
I was thinking Ben Affleck as Daredevil and then Ben Affleck as Batman.
Okay. Okay.
Because
Then Batman would be blind as a bat. Get it?
Oh, ouch! Ouch!
and that's one for Rob.
All right.
No, and that was something we were talking about before. I'm like, I guess I just don't think that way. So it would It's like playing the 6 Degrees of Mark Shepard. It'll take me a little while to.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I just thought a good one.
I just did too. Go ahead, Tony. You first.
Mark Hamill as Luke Skywalker and Mark Hamill as the Joker.
I knew as soon as you said Mark Hamill, I'm like, I know you're going to go with the Joker.
I had the same idea, but a different character.
Which one?
For the second one. Luke Skywalker, definitely the first one.
Yeah.
Cockknocker from, Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back.
Okay, wait. Snape and the
Gruber?
Die Hard?
no, not Die Hard. The sci-fi one where he's an actor.
Yeah.
Galaxy Quest.
Galaxy Quest.
Yes, that one.
Or Snape and Robin Hood. His character in Robin Hood.
Or Snape in the Metatron. And
I got
just in,
Robin Hood
I'm just in
and
Kevin
Bull
Smith
Durham
mode
guy.
at the moment.
Robin Hood and the main character in Bull Durham. Kevin
Fresh
Costner.
Davis.
Kevin
Yeah,
Costner.
Thank you.
See, I was thinking of a Kevin Costner one, but I'm doing a quick bit of research here because I just need the characters in the right order.
Do you have one?
I have one. Okay.
Anne, do you have one?
No,
Okay. Matt Smith
Okay.
as the doctor.
as the Doctor,
And Matt Smith is...
and Matt Smith as Mr. Collins in Pride and Prejudice and Zombies.
How about Matt Smith as Charles Manson?
As Charles.
I like that.
That's where I thought you were going with
No,
that.
I wasn't. I was trying to think of the right character name from Pride and Prejudice and Zombies. So
I was so excited to see him
would
in
be
that
another.
movie.
Oh, here. Let's do this. Ready? How about this one? Robert Downey Jr. Okay, as Iron Man, and Robert Downey Jr. as in Less Than Zero.
Okay.
Charlie Chaplin.
Charlie Chaplin.
Charlie
Charlie
Chaplin's
Chaplin.
great.
There we go.
His character in Weird Science.
David Tennant as Barty Crouch Jr. and David Tennant as Scrooge McDuck.
David Tennant as the 10th Doctor. And David Tennant as his character in Fright Night.
There you go. Yeah, Jesus, he was. Or let's see. Oh, you inspired another good one. I can't think of it.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Mark Shepard in Doctor Who, where he plays the American.
Canton.
Kenton.
Yeah, and Crowley.
Crowley.
Canton would be very confused.
Exactly. And Crowley would just go, "Okay, now what am I doing?"
Oh. Okay.
Colby Smothers as Maria Hill. And Colby Smothers in How I Met Your Mother. Robin something or other. Yeah.
Robin Sparkles.
Yeah. I was young. I needed the money.
Okay. Lawrence Fishburne. Lawrence Fishburne as Morpheus. But also Lawrence Fishburne as Cowboy
Curtis.
Cowboy Curtis and Pee Wee Herman.
As soon as you said Lawrence Fishburne,
knew where I was
Cowboy
going.
Curtis is coming up.
Take either one of those that you just mentioned with Fishburne, and flip it for his first role is Clean in Apocalypse Now.
Yeah.
You bring up Lawrence Fishburne. Let's go with his wife, Gina Torres.
Okay.
Gina Torres as Zoe in Firefly. Gina Torres, I can't remember her character's name in Xena.
Oh, yeah. I don't think Zoe would be confused in Xena. She'd just go to just start fighting. So I think Zoe would do well in the Xena universe. What?
Christian Kane, Librarians, and
Angel?
no, not Angel. Leverage. The historian all of a sudden becoming the hitter, going, what?
The one who's getting clobbered to the one who's doing the clobbering. Natalie Portman as Padme and Natalie Portman in Black Swan.
Or in Thor.
At least one of those has better dialogue.
Yeah. That's true. We got any other ones?
Yeah.
Anna Paquin in The Piano.
Okay.
Anna Paquin in True Blood.
True.
Or X-Men.
Or X-Men.
Anne Hathaway, Princess
Diaries.
Anne Hathaway, Catwoman.
There you go. There you go.
Samuel L. Jackson, Mace Windu. Samuel L. Jackson, any one of his other roles.
Just go with Coming to America.
Jules in Pulp Fiction.
Jules in Pulp Fiction would probably be a badass in that Genoshan fight scene in Attack of the Clones.
I double dare you.
Can you imagine?
Say his name!
Can you imagine Jango Fett versus Jules? Come on, there's a firefight, man. That's a thing.
Anytime I think of Jules, Jules Winfield, Jules Winfield hockey coach for the ESPYs that they did like 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
You can find it on YouTube. It's hilarious. But
anybody got another one?
Yeah.
I think we could go on
can go
all
for
day
hours.
for this.
Yeah, that's why I thought this one was a fun one.
I got one for you.
Go ahead.
Ryan Reynolds, Deadpool. Ryan Reynolds as Will Hayden, the political activist, whole 9 yards, and definitely maybe. He's also a single dad.
Oh, right. That's a good one.
Or how about that second one, but with Detective Pikachu?
Okay. Either with Detective Pikachu.
R.I.P.D. Anyway.
2 guys, a girl, and a pizza place.
2 guys, a girl, and a pizza place.
My brain is full.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, so that's a good enough. Let's go ahead and just tag this one out, and we'll see you guys next week. That sounds like fun. And we'll have more questions of the week like this that'll take an hour to answer. So this has been Monkey Business, a product of the Mighty Monkey Corporation, purveyors and producers of the Flower City Comic-Con, coming at you once again in 2020. Follow us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, follow us on Instagram, follow us wherever we go, and we will lead you to where the entertainment is. Keep an eye on what's going on, because we've got a lot coming up this year. See you at the 585, and we'll have a great one. See you next week.
Pika!
Dun,
Dun, dun.